All right. Did it work? I hope so.
Yep.
All right. So welcome everyone to a special program being offered to our film festival donors. We'll be recording today's Zoom program. We'll make it available for everyone else, but you have the first opportunity to see this. You probably all know me. I'm Tevin Laxer. I'm the director of the Sacramento Jewish Film Festival. Our prime sponsors are the Jewish Federation of the Sacramento Region and the Jewish Community Relations Council. Today, we have the privilege of being joined by Neil Friedman. Neil is the founder and president of Menemsha Films. It was founded in 1998, dedicated to distributing highest quality Jewish Israeli films from around the world. Our film festival has presented Menemsha Films just about every year. And many years before I became director, we had Menemsha Films as well. Prior to founding Menemsha Films, Neil worked at William Morris, at New Line Cinema, and at Pressman Company. So I'm going to start off this afternoon. I have a number of prepared questions for Neil, and then Neil will walk us through and describe his new service called HiFlix. And meanwhile, please put your questions and comments in the chat. And since there's so few of us, we can even do the questions, without even the chat itself. But if you'd like to be commenting while Neil is talking, that's just great. So welcome, Neil, to Virtual Sacramento.
Thank you, Kevin.
Like to start off with conversation about Menemsha. So please tell us, why did you start Menemsha? And what's the origin of the name Menemsha?
Okay. Well, I've been in this business since 1982, actually, when I was an entertainment lawyer in New York. I graduated law school in 81 and practiced law until 1985. And from there, I went and worked at a company called Vestron that's no longer with us, but it was the first company to really push the video DVDs, and then went to New Line, as you said, and came out here to California to work for one of the studios, Columbia Pictures, in 1987. And after that, I ran the business affairs, and I was chief operating officer of one of the satellite companies at the studio, Price Entertainment. And then from there, I ran Ed Pressman's company for 6.5 years, where we made 16 movies in a short period of time, which we financed all those ourselves. And I left the Pressman company to go to William Morris for 2 years. To co-run the independent film division of William Morris, and then decided after that, since I've had all this smorgasbord of experience in the film business, but never working for myself, that this is the time at the age of 44 to start my own company. And I started it with the idea that we were going to be we started off as a sales company for European films around the world, American company that handled European films. And then I had a daughter and decided that I was going to run around the world looking for the next hot movie. And we transformed into a U.S. distributor in 2003. And since 2003, we've been a U.S. distributor of films, just like Sony Classics or any of the other companies you may know. So that's 18 years ago. But about halfway between that 18-year period, we decided to be exclusively Jewish and Israeli. And the last 7 or 8 or 9 years, I never remember how long it's been, we have been only handling Jewish and Israeli films, which I think you probably will have some questions about why you would make a decision like that, or what it's like to just handle one kind of movie. And we've had the good fortune of, I would say being the leading supplier to every Jewish film festival for a long period of time. And one of the reasons why we decided to become exclusively Jewish and Israeli is that our expertise was growing in that area. And I think it's important in the film business, which is, a difficult business, to be an expert at something and to be a leader in one area. And that's what we've been doing. We're growing that leadership and that expertise over the 9 years that we've been exclusively doing this. And it's been a lot of fun. It's one of the things that happens when you're, as a business person or as an entrepreneur, some of it's luck. And we have handled some really terrific films that have been successful. That's projected us to be the leading distributor of Israeli and Jewish films, not only in America, not only in North America, but in the world, because we're the only company in the world that exclusively handles Jewish and Israeli films as a commitment to one niche like that. So that's the evolution of how I've gotten to where I am. Remember, I started off as an entertainment lawyer, worked on the business side, then ran a film company, and then became an agent. And all those experiences led me to where I am now.
Great. So just one technical thing. I tried to have this on speaker view, but it says that your network bandwidth is low. So
Okay.
your image is coming in rather small.
All right, so maybe I need to put let's say the bandwidth is low, okay. Okay, I don't know why that is.
I
Okay,
can't seem to make it full screen.
okay.
So Neil, we're often asked, what makes a film Jewish? How would you respond to that question?
What makes a film Jewish? Well, a film's Jewish, obviously, if it has a Jewish theme. It's not Jewish if it has a Jewish director or a Jewish actor. I have a predisposition of wanting to do this, be in this area of film with not only money or success in mind, but with cultural sharing in mind. That it's in some levels it's you're sharing as a curator, which we are. We're sharing some of our ideals about the world, and the simple way to talk about in addition to a film with a Jewish theme, some sort of main storyline or a strong minor storyline that's Jewish, is that it can be not Jewish, but have some of the same tenets of what we think of as being Jewish, and why being Jewish is special. Tikkun Olam comes to mind. I mean, that's important commitment of mine, and that takes it out of maybe even being a Jewish storyline. But if we're pairing the world, that seems to be in tune with what a Jewish film is and what it should be, because there are certain precepts in Jewish learning and Jewish cultural history that we want to share with the world, and that makes this job more than just showing Jewish storylines, but it's also about a commitment to making the world better. And that is part of the passion that I have, because especially in the last couple of years, as we all know, the world has gotten a lot more difficult, and there are some great, the tenets that Judaism has taught me, I mean, culturally at least, about treating your neighbor like you'd want your neighbor to treat yourself, or tikkun olam. Those are the two precepts that transfer to a film that's not necessarily Jewish in its storyline, and I think that's critical in what we do.
And then, how do you find and select films?
It's a full-time job. It is a full-time job. I mean, what we have here, and I think your audience would be interested in this, is that I don't know, we're 1% of the world's population, probably less than that, right? 0.001 or whatever it is. There's 350 to 400 Jewish theme movies a year. And my job, and I think this will be interesting to your audience, is to find the 15 to 20 that I think are the best. And that's what a curator does. I have to see every one of these 350 films, and from there to decide which I think are the ones to share with the Jewish world. And that's means that I have to find films from all kinds of different ways, whether it's a festival abroad, whether it's a good friend of mine that I've worked with previously that recommends a film, whether it's reading an article in the Forward, or the New York Times or the San Francisco Chronicle that brings up a storyline related to a film that I didn't know about. That's what it's about. It's really scouring the world to find the 350 films that you want to look at and decide from those numbers of films which ones you want to be a part of each year. And at 15 to 20 is about the right number for us. Not all of those are theatrical releases. Let's say 3 to 6 are, and the rest are films that we handle for festivals and in digital media and in our own on our own SVOD service as well, which is Skyflix, which we'll get to talking about in a little while.
Wow. I didn't know there were as many as 350.
I think there are, I may be a little bit high with that number, but it feels like my point was that our representation of the world's population, there seems to be a higher percentage of films each year available that with Jewish themes relative to our population percentage of the world. Obviously there's a lot of reasons for that. But there's I'm looking now, by the way, for Highflix, I'm looking at TV series, and I'm finding that there are TV series from all over the world. That's another responsibility I have, right, outside the Menemsha responsibility of looking for feature films and documentaries. For Highflix, which is the Jewish Netflix, we're looking at TV series, we're looking at shorts, we're looking at cultural programs, musical shows, things of that nature. And the new addition to the repertoire is TV series, which I'm sure each of your viewers are very familiar with. So, in other words, I've expanded my expertise from films and let's say just call it narrative films to TV series, because people are now, because of the pandemic, people have learned to watch or predisposed to watch films and TV shows on their computer or on their TV set rather than go into the movie theater.
Right. Just as an example, last month I watched a series at the East Bay Jewish Film Festival, had an Israeli TV program, Muna, which right, I was not familiar with at all, and I loved it. They had the first 8 episodes of Muna, and, right, and I just loved it. It's just amazing. I'm sure you've heard it. It's
interesting, Kevin. Today is Sunday, and Sunday is Monday in Israel. So I spent the morning with email conversation with the TV companies, because we're looking at acquiring TV series for Highflix. So the Israeli week is Sunday through Thursday, because Sabbath is Friday. So now that we're in the TV business, TV series business, Sunday becomes a critical day for running after TV shows and competing against bigger companies than ourselves. And as I'm sure your audience knows, whether it's Stitzel or whether it's Fauda or whether it's losing, I forget, it was Losing Alice or losing the Tehran. I mean, all these programs are now being binged by American audiences, and it's the same process for us. We want to be able to, I don't have the luxury, by the way, of being the only one in the TV series business, Jewish TV series business. Everybody is, because of the quality of TV series that are come out of Israel. So it's more competitive for me on the TV series side. Obviously, I'm competing against bigger companies like Apple or Netflix. So that's a full-time job in itself. What I'm trying to say to your team is that once we became HiFlix, which is really less than a year ago, I had to teach myself the entire landscape of TV series with Jewish theme, which I know nothing about, so that I am as well versed on TV series with Jewish theme as I am on feature films. So I can make an assessment as to which of the TV series that I think are the best or the most important, and to become the expert that I think I am on the film side and the TV series side as well.
It's great. One dilemma we have, we just conducted a post-film survey, and it wasn't a great surprise,
Right.
Bill. We discovered that about 80% of our respondents were over the age of 50, and 40% were over the age of 70. And it's the question we have: how do we attract a younger audience? How do we get folks who are under 50?
It's the hardest thing to do in the space that we're all in. You can't jump from your core audience, let's call it my age, just to be general, 67 to 70, which to go down to find 25-year-olds that are interested in programming. I think it's over a period of time that you're presenting quality programs, cultural programs. Obviously, there's younger folks are less religious than our generation, and they're not as Israel focused. Well, we have to talk about this now. What's gone on in the last 2 weeks in terms of the war in Israel. They're less interested in Israel than generally speaking than people of our generation. So, it's a hard job. It's not an easy job.
And before we get to HiFlix, just one more question I have, and then I'm sure our audience will have some as well. So as more of us are getting vaccinated, and I would venture a guess that everyone on this call now is probably vaccinated. As the economy is opening up, as theaters are opening up, how do you see the future of film festivals in terms of virtual and in-person?
Well, I'm going to answer that in two ways. I'm going to also talk about theaters, separate and apart from film festivals. Film festivals have it good. I think film festivals are in good shape, because what film festivals have done is they have a Tevin Laxer, who's now run a film festival and has a confidence. The people that attend your film festival have confidence in your selections, your curation of your own festival. So you have people that'll look forward to your festival every year, and not whether they're in cinema or whether it's virtual, they feel that there's a community that's been created through viewing film, and they have the confidence of following your leadership, so that every year that everybody comes together and sees some wonderful films, whether they're in cinema or virtual. And I have no qualms about film festivals growing and staying strong because that is a community, even if it's online, that you can't substitute for in any other way. We all need to be connected to each other. And one of the beauties of film is it's a wonderful medium to feel connected, for a group to feel connected to amongst themselves. So I think it's going to be, at the very least, there'll be a hybrid situation like we've talked about the other day, Tevin, where you have some in cinema and or maybe in cinema and virtual for people who don't come in to go to the cinema for whatever reason, because of a reluctance to leave their home or to sit next to other people, whether they're vaccinated or not. So I think we'll be in this interim situation where you'll have in cinema and virtual together each year. And will it go back to it being in cinema? I hope so. I hope so, because I don't think the experience can be duplicated. But if it doesn't, we're lucky. I mean, the first week of the pandemic, we started, our HiFlix, our channel. So we're prepared that worst comes to worst, if people are more comfortable not going to the cinema and watching films via their television set, we have our own business. We're ready for that, and that's why we created HiFlix, which is the same thing that we're doing the same thing we did with Menemsha in cinema. We're doing for HiFlix online. So, but the answer to your question is, there's no question whatsoever that I root day in and day out for us to get back to where we were before, where we're leaving the house and sitting in a cinema, a packed audience in a 150-seat theater and seeing a film together. There's nothing like that experience. You can't duplicate that online. And I wish for that. I don't know how long it's going to take. I'm in the middle of releasing a film right now with Shira Haas, which I worked on this morning, called Asia, which I think you showed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm opening it in New York, and I'm trying to deal with, whether people are physically going to show up at the Film Forum, which is the #1 art house in the country, to come see the movie. And what I do in preparation, if it's premature for people to be ready to come back to the cinema or not, how I make up for that.
So your Wi-Fi has kicked in at the right time. You're now full screen.
Good.
So now tell us about HiFlix, and if you can share your screen, please, and show us what people will.
You want me to share my screen?
Sure. I mean, if you'd like to walk us through what people will see, they log in.
I think I need somebody who's more technical than me to do that, Heidi. But look, I mean, let's I can walk everybody through that without.
Do you want me to do it or not?
Yeah, if you can do it.
Will he be able to share his screen?
Yeah, he's a co-host.
Okay, fine.
I made him a co-host. Hi, Heidi.
Hi.
It's on the bottom.
Yeah, it's the share screen, right?
Yes.
Then I get to desktop, which is,
Oh, then you have to have up a window that is what you want to show. So it
oh, okay, hang on.
browser for HiFlix.
Hang on. Oh no, I don't want that. Just want plain old HiFlix. Okay, now let me go back to. Where was Zoom? Oh shit. I don't know your computer is weird. Guys, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what happened here. You don't have anything to minimize your screen with.
Oh, this is an Apple, so
Well, I don't know what,
I mean, I could share mine too, and you could just.
yeah, why don't you do that? But I gotta get him back to Zoom, and I'm having trouble even finding that on his computer now.
Go to the dock, which is either on the bottom or on the left side, and it lists all of the programs.
Yeah, hang on. There we go. All right, you want to share your screen? I think it'll be easier.
For me?
Yeah.
All right, then I have to get in. I wasn't logged in yet, but let me try that. Come on. A lot of fun, you know?
you want me to start to talk, Kevin? So
Yeah,
we
please.
Yeah. Okay.
Please, I'm
So-
logging in. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's what happened, everybody, and this is important, I think, and I'm trying to relate what I do to something that you'd be interested in. I'm working to do that. So if I don't do that, please let me know. We've been we distributed over 100 Jewish films in theaters. Okay. We have about 120 Jewish films in our Menemsha library. And in recent years, we had 3 films in a row that did over $1 million at the box office. This is not very long ago. It's between 3 or 4 years ago. We had a film called Doe with Jonathan Pryce, British comedy that we did over $1 million. Then we had a wonderful film called Women's Balcony from Israel that did over $1 million. And then we had a film, which one of my favorite films that we've ever been involved with, called 1945, a Hungarian black and white period piece, World War II. The first 2 films we sold to Netflix. The criteria for selling a movie to Netflix in those days was to do $1 million at the box office. So we sold the first 2 films to Netflix, and then we surpassed $1 million with the third film, 1945. But Netflix had evolved to the point where they weren't really that hungry anymore for third-party films. They were more doing original programming. And I have 1945 is a film that has a 97% Rotten Tomatoes rating. It has 1 negative review out of 67 in America. Plus, it was it's my greatest achievement in getting $1 million for a Hungarian language black and white period piece. And there I was. And once we once we showed the film to them and they said no, I threw up, I said to myself, well, we've come to a halt here in our business. We can't share our films with Netflix. We're going to have to find another way when we have a film that's this successful to share it with the audience, the people in North America, which, are partly, made up of a lot of people that go to the Jewish film festivals. So we said to ourselves, we're going to start our own what we call a subscription VOD service. And once because we wanted 1945 to be on a service to share with everybody. Once the pandemic hit, we said we've got to do it right now because this is the time when people are going to be home. And in the first week of March last year, we started it, and we started with our own Menemsha titles, 25 or so, and then we started to acquire third-party films. To the point now we have about 250 to 300, maybe even more films on the channel. And we're looking to build this channel to 5,000 to 10,000 programs. So that it will be, in essence, an archive for films in this subject area that, let's say, Kevin has been curating for all these years. At the film festival. So sort of like taking 15 years of Sacramento Jewish Film Festivals and making sure that was one ingredient that was part of a service that showed Jewish and Israeli programs, so that people, while they were home and not going to the theaters, can watch programs on a channel that's specific to this theme. And we love doing this. This is another new arena for us. And as I explained to the team, you guys, it got us obviously right off the bat into an area that we never really were in before, which was TV series. And to acquire those for our HiFlix channel, because we've all gotten in the habit of binging Netflix TV series, some of which are Jewish, some of which are not, or Apple TV series, some of which are Jewish, some that are not. And the world has changed where people are watching TV series one after another, because in the old days, obviously, you'd have a new show every week, so you could never binge anything. So we knew we had to keep up with how the change in the cultural taste was. And we were very lucky. We had a show called The New Black, about 6 months ago, which was as good a show as any that Netflix could have had. And we started with that, and now we've been acquiring new TV series, some of which are Israeli and some which are not, and always having new material and new films for our viewers to see, each week. We used to release or launch 3 films a week. Now we're launching 4 films a week and 20 a month. And if you take 20 times 12 months, that's 240 films or 240 programs. It takes 4 years to get to 1,000. And we're now, we're at about 350. So in let's say 3 years from now, for sure, we'll be at 1,000 programs. So that's what that is. It's to serve another change in the culture, which is online viewing.
So Neil, I hope you can see us. I have HiFlix open right now.
Right.
Can you? Okay. So right now it's showing the TV show Yid Life Crisis. Correct. And I love that. I especially love there's one episode with the blind date. It's just absolutely marvelous. So tell me where you want me to click here.
Well, I think you want to click on the browse, because
right.
What we're trying to do, and what I want to impress upon people, is the breadth of what we're trying to do. If you scroll down, Tevin, you see that we're trying to have, just like Netflix, no different. We're trying to have different programming for so that we have something for everybody. You'll see, you're actually on the line where it says new on HiFlix. You roll down, you're talking about Israeli programming, right? Okay. And then you roll down, you have comedy. Okay. And then you'll have drama, which is not that far away from Netflix and what they do, documentaries. And I think you'll get to the page where you'll see programs from, here's English language. You get programs from well, here's the Philadelphia Jewish Film Festival and what they do. And by the way, you can have Sacramento on there if you want. Chicago, some of their curating. I don't know what arts and culture is. I'm not sure what that is, to tell the truth. But keep going. Now here, stop right here. This is good. So our goal, the idea here is, and you could see it, I could see it almost in the bottom left corner. So here we have European films, but we want to go a little bit deeper, and we want to go country by country. So you have a line item below, which is just French language films or French themed films. We have a line for Bulgaria, I believe, where we have a series of films from Bulgaria with Jewish themes. And you see Italy, okay, Mexico and South America. So, you're traveling the world on this site in the Jewish and Israeli, let's just call it the Jewish world, because obviously Israeli is Israeli. But the diaspora, you see from all over the world. You see Mexico and South America, you see Canada, you saw France, you saw, I don't think we didn't come across Germany, but I'm surprised we don't have that. And this is another area, Kevin, that you've gotten to, where we've gotten into shorts, because we ended up by accident finding a program called Shabbos Goy, which is a short that we thought was so good that we knew that when we programmed it, and we had never programmed shorts in our entire existence at Menemsha, that we knew that because we had the breadth of this channel, that people would watch shorts as well. So now we've grown into being a short programmer, as well as TV series that's come out of having the channel.
That was one of our favorite short films. And you told me, Neil, that they're thinking of making a feature film out of Shabbos Goy.
Yeah, except they are. I was trying to convince them to do that. But what's happened here, Tevin, which I think is great, and this is one of the things I think your audience will find. What happened was that we have this channel, right, which we have only what they call subscription VOD rights for Shabbos Goy. But people like yourself, and I think you did early on yourself, said, I want to show Shabbos Goy at my Jewish Film Festival. And so we needed to go back to the rights holders and say, we want what's called non-theatrical rights, a separate set of rights to handle these shorts to show them in Jewish film festivals. So there are programming. So not only is programming migrated from Menemsha to Chaiflex, but now programming is migrating from Chaiflex to Menemsha. And we have a series of shorts that we're presenting to film festivals that come from Chaiflex that can be programmed as part of the film festival.
I'm scrolling down now, inspiring Jewish stories.
Yes, this is this is two things that come up here. The Braid is a Jewish theater group in Los Angeles. When the pandemic is not around, they go and present in theater in San Francisco. So they're very people in San Francisco know the Braid Theater Group, performing theater work on stage live. So we have work with them to show their recorded programs of their theater work that we brought online as well. That's another area, so that we're now extended not only to TV series and not only to shorts, but to theater, where we never were in the theater world at all before. And I'm the programmer for this, along with Heidi, for Chaiflex, and it's never. The great thing about it, it's infinite, because unlike the 250, let's call it 250. Tevin, you taught me maybe the 350 number was too high per year. Let's call it 250 new programs that come up every year. But when you think about Chaiflex, you can go back and program films or programs not for prior years from the beginning of the history of film, even silent films. And you're now, so that allows you to program from 1900 to 2021. And we now are able to show programs that are more than just narrative films and documentaries. We're showing shorts, we're showing theater, we're showing cooking shows, we're showing musical concerts, and we're showing TV series. So it's unlimited. And one of the things that I wanted to do, as I was thinking about this the other day, is that I don't know if your audience has seen the movie The Keeper, which just went on the service, which is a soccer movie. I think we're going to have I was thinking we would have a football, what they call it, in Europe and the rest of the world, soccer is football, and we would have Jewish soccer. And we have 2 or 3 programs that we're going to add to the Keeper, and just have a section of Jewish soccer or Jewish sports. So that's another subject that you'll see a section for, and where people can go and find the things that they want to see in these subcategories. And we're learning as we go, as we watch more and more programs. By the way, thanks for doing this. There's the keeper, by the way. Now, I must tell your audience, by the way, that I'm not a tech guy. I was, I'm old school, okay? And I spend my hours watching film and TV programs and shorts. And so I have somebody else do what you're watching in terms of the technical side. That's just not my forte. So, all these programs are in my head as to what we should program next, what we shouldn't program next. And remember, we have two companies now, Menemsha and Kaiflix, that are separate and apart from each other. So I'm programming for both companies. This is the greatest job in the world, by the way.
And I keep scrolling down, different topics here.
Yeah, and thank you for doing this, Devin. Travel. I mean, look, I to be honest with you, I don't go on this site that often because I'm mostly looking for. My job is to find new programs. So, and by the way, I have an excuse, not a good excuse, but I have an excuse as to why I missed the timing on here. I was on with Israel this morning, not only for TV programs, but for related to the film Asia and whether Shira Haas is going to travel to New York or not, given the security issues that we're now facing in North America with the anti-Semitism that came out of the recent war in Israel. So I got sidetracked. And that's why I missed the beginning of this meeting until my partner that I.
Neil, there you are.
Yeah. And Sephardic has been this is interesting to your audience because I was interested, part of this all comes from me in terms of my own learning. I was a double major in college, film and ethnicity. Okay. This is exactly what I'm doing today. Film and ethnicity, Jewish, Israeli film. It's the same thing I did when I was 21 years old. And one of the areas that I was interested in is learning more about the Sephardic world. I'm an Ashkenazi person, and I didn't know a lot about the Sephardic world. And it gave me the ability through the work to explore the Sephardic world and learn, because this is part of the what keeps me going is finding new programs that interest me that I didn't know about. I don't want to do the same thing twice because I don't think your audience wants to see the same thing twice anyway. So we're always providing new programming because I'm in essence programming for myself. This is what I call my PhD in ethnicity. Okay, beyond the BA that I had as an undergraduate. So this is just the beginning. This is the first. We now completed the first. Depending on when you call it, August or last March. We're 1 year into this, and this is 250 programs a year. So 3 years from now, it'll be over 1,000 for sure. And then another 3 years from them, it'll be over 2,000, and then 3,000, and then hopefully this will be the home for everybody to see anything that might interest them.
So Neil, I have a question for you.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to your audience, by the way.
Oh yeah, of course. So you said that we might be able to.
And I'm here for the long run because I feel bad that I missed the beginning. So whatever amount of time we want to stay on is okay with me. I enjoy this actually.
You said we might be able to have a line for hits from the Sacramento Jewish Film Festival.
Yes.
So I hate to ask this question, but are we limited just to your Menemsha films, or is it possible to have links to other films as well?
No, you wouldn't. You'd be limited because I wouldn't have the rights to other people's films.
Okay.
Fair
enough. We had many of yours.
Yes.
All right. Let's open up to other people who might have questions.
The hidden gems. That's a good, nice category, right?
Craig, really can't see everybody. If you can maybe see who has a hand up or.
Yeah, there's no one has a hand up. I have a question.
Sure.
While other people are thinking. So do you watch a film more than once? And have you ever had the experience of watching it once and thinking it was not up to snuff, but then watching again and thinking, oh, actually, I like it a lot.
All the time. All the time. And I think that, and I bet you Tevin does this too, by the way, and if you're on the programming group, I think you probably do it as well. You really need, you have to study it. You don't know what mood you're in the first time you saw it, what was going on in the background. But the basic rule is you have to see everything twice. I mean, I can see a film and it's so good that I know I want it, so I don't have to watch it twice. But I would say 70% of the films I have to watch twice to make sure, because it's money. Every time every film up here, I had to pay the rights fee to acquire the film. So you don't want to make any mistakes.
Mhm.
So you double check yourself. It's like a pre-test and a real test. From when you were young, you take a pre-test on a spelling test, and then on the Friday you take the real test. So we have a certain quality that is our what we trade in, and hopefully what is communicated to even folks like you may know Menemsha, and we don't want to, on the Menemsha side and on the HiFlix side, we don't want to go below that quality level, and we want to be known for curating, not just and that is curating films of quality. Okay, and I'm sometimes right on the edge on that issue on either side, the Menemsha side or the HiFlix side, where I know there's a certain amount of people that like a certain film, but I just don't think it's quality-wise enough for Menemsha to be a part of. And I'm not trying to be a snob, okay? But I can tell you that different parts of the country like different films. Okay, I can say that Miami is different than Ohio, which is different from Sacramento. Yes. Hi.
Sarah, you're muted.
Just have to unmute.
Sarah, if you're trying to speak, you're muted.
Hello?
Yes.
Now we hear you.
Hi. Okay, so first of all, this is Carl and Sherry Zeff, and we want to thank Menemsha for hiring our son Danny to do an internship when he was still a student at Chapman's Dodge School of Film.
I know. I remember your son very well.
He
He's
just
terrific.
got promoted. That's wonderful. I'll tell him.
Yeah.
He just got promoted to manager of operations at the SAG Foundation.
That's right. I knew that, actually, Sherry. Somebody mentioned that in the company. Yeah.
Great. So anyway, for myself, I just want to say thank you. I feel I'm an actress myself, and I feel like this has just opened up a whole new world that I haven't had access to. So on behalf of audiences, Jewish audiences, thank you for putting this out.
Thank you. That's the amazing thing about, we have a rich cultural history, a rich religious history, but we, in terms of film and television, it's pretty rich. So, and that's why we created this service. We're just getting started. We just scrolled through these titles. There's a lot of programming here. And by the way, I got to tell you something. You guys get a kick out of this. Some of the programs, I remember when I was trying to acquire the program from Menemsha, let's say 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and I thought it was something that I would want to acquire from Menemsha. And let's say that year we had 15 films already. And so we didn't want to go beyond 15. So if the film, I'd reach back and acquire it for HiFlix if it's still available. So I had seen some of these programs, because that was my role for Menemsha, is to see everything. Some of these programs that we now acquire for HiFlix, I had already seen when I was working to acquire films from Menemsha. But that, that's, there's so many things to see. It's amazing. And I like, there's a film, we're looking at this, hits from the Boston Jewish Film Festival, but there's a film that I bet you Tevin loves called Jews in America, Jews in Baseball, that we've been trying to acquire. Because we started, one of the early films that we did was Hank Greenberg, which is an amazing movie, as Menemsha. But I just can't get the rights to Jews in Baseball. So that's part of the producer likes us a lot for whatever reason. He doesn't want to give us the rights to Jews in Baseball, because I'd like to have a Jewish baseball section.
When you acquire the rights to films for HiFlix, are they indefinite or is it for a set period of time?
Yeah, that's a great question, Craig. Usually, by the way, HiFlix is now extended. We are now available not only in North America, but in Australia and New Zealand. Okay. We work very closely with the Australian Jewish Film Festival, who's our partner in Australia and New Zealand. The license period for a Menemsha film would be 15 years. Okay, that's sort of typical for a US distributor. The license period for a HiFlix program is usually 2 years or less. Quite different. And it could be as short as 6 months. Because we would rotate through programs, as on the site.
So watch them now because they'll be gone soon, perhaps.
Yeah, I think that, we have over 5,000 subscribers now. And I think, and I know from looking at the statistics that 80% of our programming is viewed, on a constant basis. So I know that the core group of 5,000 subscribers is watching 80% of our program. The idea would be that we always have new programming available so that we keep a subscriber subscribed. That's that simple. Most of our subscribers are like Jewish, like the folks like you. You look forward to the Jewish Film Festival every year. You don't only go to one film, you go to 5, okay? Or online. You don't only watch one film, you watch 6. So that's the classic HiFlix viewer. And they, a subscriber will have seen 120 of our programs that are online, not just 5, because they're interested in this area. So we want to, we want to keep them, always have a fresh material for them to view, because they binge through, the good programs they binge through very quickly. And we see, we knew that with The New Black. You want to hear a funny story? Every single episode of The New Black were the 12 episodes were the highest, most viewed programs on the entire site. That means that even some of the great films that we have, the series itself was viewed more than than each episode of the series was viewed more than the best film. So everybody has gotten, Netflix and, I'll just say Netflix. Netflix with Fauda and whatever else, whatever, it doesn't have to be Jewish. It's put people in the habit of binging TV series. And that's, obviously what we're aware of. And we have to provide for that. Now you see in the upper left-hand corner, this is an Israeli series called Suspect that we were lucky enough to acquire. And that Yid Life Crisis is a new series that we acquired. We acquired a Dutch TV series that's coming on in a month or so. And after that were the conversations I was having this morning with Israel, where there are 4 or 5 different Israeli TV series we're trying to acquire to bring onto the channel for, let's say, September. Okay, so we're always programming ahead.
Does anyone else have any questions they'd like to ask?
Yes, I have I'm Carl Zeff,
Sure.
wife, husband of Sherry and father of Danny. But by the way, while we were talking to you, Amy Eisenberg just delivered this. Ann Eisenberg just delivered this Sacramento Jewish Film Festival mug just while we were.
Wonderful.
So I was wondering, part of the amazing sea change that happened in media regarding Netflix was when they started to produce their own series and movies, and then it became like a standard thing. Like Amazon became a producer, and Apple, and so everything became their own producer. Is there a possibility in the future? Do you see yourself as also producing your own series with the same themes?
Well, it's a great question. I mean, if you remember, HBO, this is a pattern. Okay, HBO, when they first went on the air in 1980, I think it was, something around that, we're always acquiring third-party programming. And then they evolved to the point where almost everything on the air on HBO was original programming that was developed and produced by HBO. So now that same evolution, because they want to control what they're providing to their viewers, the same evolution has occurred on the streaming world, where, as I said, with Netflix, with the third successful film that we had, they had evolved so much to doing their own original programming that they no longer were as interested in a successful movie from us to acquire, because they didn't have room. So the answer is, it's a possibility. But right now there's so much programming to acquire. We are just looking to program this site in the 5,000 to 10,000 program level. And I can't imagine that we would be able to produce our own programming and get to that level but at the same time. I think we have to get my goal was always, this is my legacy, if I could say it that way. I've been doing this for a long time, and even when we weren't exclusively Jewish, we did a lot of Jewish programming. So this site that you're seeing, HiFlix, is my legacy, and I wanted to leave this site and have this site be a 5,000 program site, so that, and what we call it, by the way, Carl, is one-stop shopping. We want to get it to the point where if you're on a Sunday afternoon and you say, I want to watch let's say Schindler's List, that it would be here. Okay, that anything you would come up with and at a whole cloth would be on this site. Everything Jewish and Israeli that you can think of, and that's what we're trying to. And the phrase I use is one-stop shopping. In other words, you may find it on let's say Netflix or something else, but you will always find it on our site, so that any program that's Jewish will be on this site, or a large percentage of Jewish programming that you would come up with will be on this site. So that the first thing you'll do is click onto the site to go look for it, because it should be there. It's a library. That's the concept I have, that this I'm leaving behind a library of books.
Thank you.
And I'm sort of proud as we rotated through these programs, and I know every one of them, that I don't see the same program twice. I mean, that's amazing. I don't mean that the actual literally, I don't mean literally the same program twice, but they each have a different theme. And we're not just programming without thinking. We're programming to expand people's knowledge and education and entertainment all at the same time. That's what Tevin's job is. The same thing. This is what we're doing, and that's why Tevin loves what he's doing, and except for, this is what we love to do. And there's in the programming groups, I think you have a pretty good programming group, Tevin, right? That backs you.
Yeah, we have a group of about 20 people. Several are on this call, and
Right.
It's a wonderful group. I'm now looking at something called your forums, And you
Yes.
threads.
Right.
I'm just scrolling down here to see what I have not clicked on this before, Neil.
Either have I.
So here, interesting.
Can't wait for Mishmish. That's, I think, did you show that, Tevin? Mishmish, that documentary?
We did.
Yeah. You want to know something? San Francisco showing it this July. So you're ahead of them. So what they're saying is they want Mishmish on HiFlix. They want us to be able to see it online. But what we do, I want to make sure everybody understands this. We do not mix up the two businesses. So if I handle a movie like Mishmish that you showed last year, it will not be on HiFlix for 2 years. So that when Tevin's out programming, or San Francisco this year is programming for this year, 2021, that this cannot be, Mishmish is not available for HiFlix, so that that we're not competing with ourselves is really the best way to say it.
And just to clarify, we didn't present Mishmish yet. We previewed it.
Okay.
We just didn't have enough room yet.
Right. But that's that's an Egyptian Jewish story. Okay. Can you imagine? So, that's how extensive, our world is, our universe. We have a series of movies about Mizrahi and that Northern Africa experience of Jews that obviously weren't no longer welcome when the state of Israel was formed in 1948, and most of them emigrated to Israel. And I knew nothing about that culture, so I wanted to know about that culture. So we got a nice note on our Libyan Jewish film that is on our HiFlix site.
Well, let me click on Help for TV. Is that for syncing on your television? Let's see.
Yes.
Yeah, we had something like this on our festival site as well.
Right.
We'll have to look at this. Oh yeah, Roku, Apple TV. The biggest challenge we had on this, Neil, we had some folks who had old style televisions,
right,
that did not have the capability of linking up to Roku or Chromecast or anything else.
But you can put HiFlix onto your TV and watch it just like you'd watch Netflix and click on.
If it's not a smart TV, you can't.
Correct.
Do it,
yeah, you're probably right. That's what we have here.
So Craig, we'll have to look at this.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions anyone has? Some of you are being very quiet out there.
Look, I think you see the breadth of available programming from just looking at that site and knowing, how many different kinds of programs are available to view. These, I'm looking at these. I feel this is the Menemsha side of things, right?
Right.
So, Leona, we released a couple of weeks ago, and now we're already releasing Asia coming up in a couple of weeks. Those who remained, I think you probably showed that at your festival, right?
Yes, we did.
So those who remained is an interesting story. I mean, we were in the theaters in Florida. We're about to do, upwards of $100,000 box office, and then the pandemic started. So we had to stop the release. And so we're going to have to go back and that was the first city, the first market that we released the film in. By the way, it's my favorite movie of any Menemsha film ever, Those Who Remained. And, it was just bad luck. We were always scheduled to open in New York at Lincoln Center, and the pandemic happened, and we couldn't open in the theater. So we have to go, and I thought the film was so good that I didn't want to show it virtually. I wanted to show it in the theater and wait until the pandemic was over until we presented it. That's still to be released. And then you have Here We Are, which, it's now won 8 audience awards at different Jewish film festivals. So with Asia and Here We Are, we had probably almost every Israeli Oscar between those two films were taken up by those two films this past year.
Right.
So we had the first and second award-winning Israeli films of the year last year that we acquired that we're now handling.
And I will say something on those, Neil. I believe that Here We Are was a better film than Asia.
A lot of people do. I would say more than, that's a strong minority. Asia is a beautiful film, but it's a difficult film to release. There's especially during the pandemic. But it's nice to have different theme. Even on the Menemsha side, they have different themes. So you're not doing the same thing over and over again. You're doing something new that you get excited about yourself. I don't know if people have seen Leona, but that's a terrific film also. It's a Mexican Jewish film.
Yeah, we presented that a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Could you talk about the deal that you and Tevin worked out for HiFlix 1-year subscription and how it's redeemed?
Yeah, I think what we did, Tevin, is is it a 1-year deal? We
Right.
to? Yeah. So
That's correct.
obviously Chai means life and 18. Good luck. And that's what we came up with a year ago. We had a special promotion during Hanukkah of $18 yearly subscription, and Tevin reached out, and it was only available during the 8 days of Hanukkah because we wanted to limit it because it was a uniquely terrific offer. But Tevin said, I want a certain amount of people to be able to take advantage of that. And so we carried it over and we just put it into practice, I think, this past week, well after Hanukkah of last year. I can't imagine that somebody wouldn't want a yearly subscription if they're interested in this, in these kinds of films and programs. I mean, that's like if you went on to Amazon, if you watched 3 programs, that's what that's what you're paying for. 3 times 6, a lot of them are $5.99. That's $18, and you get a whole year. So unlimited programming. It's pretty special. But we were happy to do it because I don't think of we're in an ecosystem. I mean, we can't survive and do what we do, and because we love what we do, without having folks like you. And in order to do that, we want to reach out to folks like you and offer things that make us special, not only for the programming, but in terms of taking advantage of things that we offer, for an affordable price. And those kind of things come back. Everything comes around. If you're, and I got to say something. You'd be really surprised to say this, but there's 175 Jewish film festivals, and I would say I have a strong relationship with every single one. Tevin and I are very close, but the people that run these film festivals are all friends of mine, and we all talk about. That's another thing. I find films from people like Kevin who saw something before I did, and he'll recommend it to me. That happened with 1945. It played at the Miami Jewish Film Festival. I never knew it existed, and the Miami Jewish Film Festival reached out to me and said, "This is a film you should distribute." That happens so many times. I can't imagine. So it's really we're in the same community. You know, any one of you can see a program that I haven't seen, because I'm basically, Heidi and I are the two people that are looking for programming, and we're keeping this ecosystem, and I think that's the right word, where we're growing the ability to enjoy Jewish culture, Jewish cultural history, by coming up with new programming every year and expanding, and finding the best on the Menemsha side for festivals and obviously in theaters. On the HiFlix side, finding programs that are available on the channel that will be not 15 or 20 a year, but will be 250 a year. So, we sort of dedicated to this space, when you talk to somebody who's seen films that of ours, or looked at films even before we acquired them, I'm oftentimes getting the opinion of Tevin to tell me, because that's not only I watch it twice, but I also more than once in a while, ask film festival heads what their opinion is of the film before I acquire it, because I'm not sure. So I learn a lot from talking to guys, folks like you. I'll tell you a funny story. When I started this company, my parents were alive, and I'm a middle-class kid from Queens, New York. And when we first started to do this distribution, I'd sent my parents 10 movies to watch. And they picked out from the 10, one film that they said I had to have, which was Gloomy Sunday. And that was the first movie that was a hit for Menemsha. And it's still the highest grossing film we've ever had. So without my parents' point of view, I don't know if we would ever gotten started, but that's what I've evolved into. I'm almost thinking about, and I've become that age now, so it's me. But that's what I'm trying to find out. Something that's a little sophisticated, maybe entertaining also. Not too silly. I don't think that's who we are. It's almost like a book club. We do comedy. I think Doe is not necessarily the most serious piece of programming that ever existed, but it was well done. I'm just trying to create a smorgasbord of available programs across all fields that people that were on this conversation would enjoy and learn from and educate themselves. Another area that I talk to are Jewish studies professors at universities. That's another relationship that I have, and critics too. I've become, critics that write for review for the Forward or Moment Magazine, who you see online if you read any of these Alma or any of the Jewish, Northern California. What is it? The Jewish Weekly of Northern California.
Yeah, Jay.
Yeah. So everybody talks to each other and enjoys to chew the fat on what they like.
So anyone else have any questions or comments for Neil? Yes, Sherry. You're muted.
Okay, sorry. One more thing. We also, Neil, we also have a son on the autism spectrum. So I was so glad to see I saw Anita when the Sacramento Jewish Film Festival showed it, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago. And we incorporated it into a discussion for the Federation's Committee on Inclusion Disabilities. Right. And then this year, here we are. So thank you for carrying those kind of films, because, it's educational, it's informative, and creates awareness. So, it's not just thought-provoking and entertaining.
Well, I'm a parent also. And I think that some of the programs come from just, being in that role as opposed to any other role that I have, or being a partner, in a relationship. But as a parent, I'm sensitized to certain issues that through that role that are unique to that being in that role. I actually rewatched, and I'm not Sherry. If a film I think is worthwhile and new and different, then I'm going to be interested in it. Here we are. There's only one issue that I had about Here We Are. I knew it was a terrific film, and that is that there wasn't a disabled or a spectrum actor playing that role. Now, whether that was determinative for me or not, obviously it wasn't, and I thought that we should distribute it. But in looking at in getting ready for the release of Asia, I looked at that film for the third time, and I saw things in that film that I hadn't seen, and just because I saw it yesterday, and I related to that film as a parent more than I ever had before, it's informing my skills as a human being. That's what we're talking about. That's what Jewish essence is. That you're that's the beauty of our culture, and it's a beautiful culture, and you can grow as a human being, and I think that's what this does. I'm growing, otherwise I wouldn't be this excited, that's what this allows me to do. There's so many programs, and so beautifully done, artfully done. Look, here's another issue. We don't, for the hearing impaired, we are behind on closed captioning our programs. And I know that's a problem, okay? We're only a group of 5, that runs Menemsha and Chaiflix. Because when you do something that you love, this is not the most lucrative. I could have stayed being a lawyer. If I wanted to make money, I would have been more, had a lot more money. But you only can afford to have 5 people, so who love what they do, and we're behind because we only have certain capabilities, personnel-wise, on this one issue that I think is, absolutely important, of the essence of having a streaming service like Chaiflix, and also for your film festival. Every film festival every film festival film that you would show in your festival, a Tevin would program, should be closed captioned for the hearing impaired. There's no reason why it cannot be viewed and seen in the same way as someone who's not hearing impaired. We just are behind on that, and these are the things that go with having something that you love, and that you're trying to do everything you can to provide, to be available for everybody, but it's hard to do. And we do the best we can. That's all we can do. We don't have the resources. We don't have the personnel to do that. And but we do have. We have to dedicate time to getting our entire catalog closed captioned on the Menemsha side and on the Chaiflix side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
very important subject, by the way.
I agree.
Really important.
Yeah. So we'd like to thank you very much, Neil. We really appreciate you being here with us, and appreciate everything you do for our festivals. And it's been great chatting with you today.
Can I ask one question of everybody?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, if you don't mind. What's everybody's favorite Jewish film? Come to mind.
Mm.
I know there's so many.
I would say for me, Fiddler on the Roof.
Yeah.
I could see it.
The film. Yeah.
How about anyone else? Boy, quiet group. Margie.
I have so many, I'm afraid to say one, but when they touch my heart, Neil, when they really make me almost cry, you know what I mean? That I'm looking for to a certain extent. I wanted to say hello.
Right.
I'll make it quick. Neil, I'm the one that worked with Sid Heberger Garcia prior to all this. We're very grateful to Tevin for taking this responsibility so well. But I did want to thank you because prior to that, you helped us too. And there's another kudos to you for something you may have mentioned. I came in a little bit late, but let's face it, these films also expand the understanding of Jewish culture to other cultures. And I believe it prevents anti-Semitism to a certain extent. I do.
You know something, we didn't get around to that subject at all in this discussion, and I think, you know, this is a critical subject to talk about. And we can't do it anymore, but I mean, obviously I'm dealing with this now with the release of this Israeli film Asia in 3 weeks in America. And what I was doing this morning, just to share with you, I have responsibility of bringing Shira Haas, the actress, unorthodox, from Israel to New York. And part of me thinks that I shouldn't even take that responsibility on. I don't know what's going to happen when she's here. And should I be in favor of having her there or not be in favor of having her there? Because, you know, we all saw on the news what happened in 42nd Street, you know, in the Diamond District, 47th Street in the Diamond District. I mean, I don't want to bring an Israeli actress that may be, you know, vulnerable to, you know, some eruption that may take place. And there's part of me that wants to bring her for the opening, and part of me that thinks I should, you know, be careful about that, because there is, you know, this, you know, we haven't talked about politics. This recent war in Israel has changed the tide a little bit for all of us in terms of being even the anti-Semitism issue is stronger, you know, across the board as a result of what's happened recently. Did you ever think that Palestinians would be, you know, in New York or in Los Angeles would be able to be, you know, attacking Jewish people in America? I didn't imagine that, but I should have. But that's what's happening now. They did it here in Los Angeles the other night. You know, a group of cars, you know, picked out a restaurant and, you know, attacked people sitting in a restaurant. I mean, that's crazy. And this is in my neighborhood, by the way. So you always have, this is a issue, you know, that's another issue. That's part of the reason why I do what I do also, by the way. I'm a sort of a Holocaust junkie. So I you know, I have to always, my daughter used to give me a hard time because you know, I was so interested in the Holocaust. That sounded so fascinating that I have to, you know, be present with more different kinds of films that are more during these years, subjects in these years. And, but, you know, anti-Semitism is not going to go away. It'll always be there. And part of the work is that. Is doing the best you can to prevent that kind of situation.
Thank you.
I think the subject of what's your favorite Jewish film is really, could take up another hour, but one thing that came to mind, like stream of consciousness, was Mel Brooks's The Producers. I mean, the word Jew is not mentioned in it, but if you're Jewish, the characters and the theme are so explicitly Jewish,
right,
that you just love the absurdity of it, and you almost have to be a member of the tribe to laugh at it.
Well, Carl, you touched on a really interesting subject because we have a film now called On Broadway, okay, about about Broadway, and there's not one mention of the word Jewish in the entire film. Okay, it's about the evolution of Broadway through the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s in terms of the type of shows that have been successful. And it's a perfect film for now because obviously Broadway has been closed and it gets everybody excited about the idea of live performances. But first question that Tevin asked me, what is the film? What is a Jewish film? That is a Jewish film, even though it doesn't say the word Jewish once. Okay. And I don't even know that most of the people in the film are not Jewish either, by the way. But Broadway, from vaudeville, like the producers, is of the essence Jewish. There's no issue. That's what we have. I think that probably came. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but a little bit came from the Yiddish theater.
Mhm. Yes. Yes.
That's one area, by the way, that we want to program that we're trying. That's one program area that we would like to program more Yiddish films on our site. I know Heidi was looking for she had a program, Yiddish yoga that we wanted to get on the site. So I mean, you really can see how it's never ending. I mean, it's great. But I love talking about this, and I love doing this. And I'm not a scholar of Yiddish films, and this would be a great opportunity for me to learn. And that's part of what I do to learn. That's part of educating myself. And Craig, you have some? I thought you were. Yeah. No.
Anyone else?
Have people watched Yiddish films?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I don't see anyone else, so I think we've come to a happy end here. Again, I'd like to thank you very much, Neil. This has been great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah. Let's do this again. I feel bad about being late. So when these folks that are at wherever they were today, if you want to do it again, Tevin, let's do it.
Sure. That's
Okay.
great. All right.
When are we going to be able to access the recording? Because I was taking my last cups along around.
Oh, I didn't
Are
even
you
see you,
serious,
Ann.
Carl?
Hi. You must have just joined, Ann.
I did. I was desperate to finish my task.
Okay. Well, thank you for doing that. All right. See
So
you
when is the recording going to be available?
when we put it up.
Oh, okay. That sounds good.
Pretty in the near future.
Okay.
All right. See you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you.